Hello, everybody. This is José Ignacio from the Uncomfortable Dialogues 2022. Thank you very much for joining us today. We value your participation and feedback. It is my greatest honor to have with us in the studio my friend and Chicago colleague, Jim Vaselopulos. Jim is a C-level business advisor and executive coach. Jim has also been an advisor to too many companies across nearly every industry around the world, not only here in Chicago. And importantly for today's dialogue, Jim is also the co-host of the Leadership Podcast. How are you doing, Jim?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Jose.
So how's your family? Everybody safe?
The family is good. Everyone's well and thriving. And that when your kids are happy, you're happy.
Excellent, good. I remember, I think last time we saw each other was probably 4 years ago. So since then, something has changed in your life?
Oh, a few things. Let's see. We had this global pandemic amongst other things. So yeah, it's been a crazy 4 years since then. It's the whole world's been turned upside down, right?
So talking about changes, so I know that you are an expert about leadership and you have a podcast talking about leadership. So can you give us kind of a couple of examples of things that you see have changed since the pandemic and now?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things is everyone kind of quickly made this shift to online meetings. Do we lose something with that? Do we gain something? And I think it's been an interesting study, and I think there will be studies that go on for years going forward, because we made this transition relatively well in the business world. Mm-hmm. And in the business world, I think people changed, but I have noticed when we've had the opportunity to get people together in person, we can work through problems much more quickly, much more effectively, and in very short amounts of time. And so I do think that we're still in the midst of understanding how much more effective we are when we communicate in person, or what the benefit is of communicating in person versus via Zoom. But so many businesses have become very effective communicating via Zoom. In fact, many salespeople who had large regions to travel within have found this to be an incredible tool. At the same time, we look at how children have reacted, and educating people through Zoom, I think we can all say is not the best. Being in person is good. So I think it's just an interesting thing we're learning about the impact of, just being in person with people and how effective that is, and where this type of communication will remain important still, and where this type of communication kind of falls flat.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you and I are a little bit older. But if you remember, when we were groomed, we were taught that the leader must know every answer to every possible question. So you have this monolithic leader, kind of the omnipresent, omni-capable. In today's world, do you believe that these leaders will have a future, or do they need to change their model to be far more nimble, far more agile?
Well, I think there's so much going on these days. And I think, even if you were to be that leader that says, I know everything that's going on, people aren't going to believe you. So I think to be authentic and to be genuine, and to really leverage the power of your team, to actually trust people, you have to be able to say, I don't know. I have good people. They're going to give me answers. So I think a level of vulnerability is very important for today's leader. I think a level of curiosity, super important, to say, I don't know, but I'm curious to know. So I think to really summarize your statement, I think leaders of old, when we think about, let's say, the vision of a leader is someone standing down, commanding orders at everyone. I think now the leadership we want to see is someone who's curious, who asks questions, who has an interest in people. And I think if that leader is asking questions, I think the questions they ask are more important than the statements they make. And I think that is the big shift in leadership that I've seen through the years. And it's a welcome shift, long overdue.
Yeah, that's right. And for example, how about communicating with people? You and I know each other before Zoom. But if I happen to have a new customer or a new consumer, how can I really get connected with individual via Zoom? Is there anything else that we need to do differently?
Yeah, I think we underestimated the amount of interactions we had that were not formal with people, you know, getting coffee, having lunch, doing small things. We walk around the office. And so I know a number of companies where people were onboarded during the pandemic, and those people, many of them are like either not thriving or they're leaving the organization right now because they just didn't feel welcomed or part of the family, or just never really got their feet under them. Even if they felt welcomed, you know, they never were quite effective. And so I think when you're in this world of distributed kind of contact, it's important to make sure that we make time for those personal conversations. How are you doing? How's your family? All of these things that allow us to have these human interactions, because what people crave and need are human interactions, not just transactional interactions where I'm telling you what to do or you're giving me a status update. We need to be human with one another.
Every time I had a discussion with you, I wish that we could have hours of conversations, but this time we can't. So do you have any final words that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I guess, you know, going with our theme of like, hey, we went through a couple of years of change in the pandemic. I think one of the things I would say to remember is, you know, when you see a change like this coming at you, you can't look at it and say, let's just wait for this to go away. You have to embrace it and accept it. Mm-hmm. And the sooner you embrace and accept what's happening, the sooner you can do smart things to deal with it. And I know the business leaders I saw that thrived in this environment were the ones that very quickly accepted what was happening, understood that, you know, same old usual plan was not going to work, and to make those adjustments as quickly as possible, even if they were painful. And I think that's, you know, one of the lessons to be learned from this whole situation that the whole world dealt with at the same time.
Excellent. Yes, I agree with you. So there is an old saying that goes, if you know what is the problem, half of the problem is already solved.
Exactly.
Good. Well, Jim, thank you very much for your time. And for everybody watching this audience, everybody watching this video, so you know that if you have any question to Jim or to myself, just drop the note in LinkedIn or YouTube and we'll get back to you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. You're the best.
You too.